So well, maybe we'll just have to do without the stream, or it says that I suppose if it's not going to have it, it's a bandwidth problem, I suppose. Anyway, Shelly, let me start the recording now, and I'll just let the stream do.
No, okay.
Let's see. Tools, recording. Okay, I'm going to start the
recording started.
Okay. Episode 379. Keep piling them up since 2010. And I'm talking now with authors and online sharers, I should say. She's just written a book. Let me see if I can show you the book. Here we go. This is her book. I've been reading it, taking it to bed with me. And it's called Hacking Digital Learning Strategies. Well, it's basically about a lot of really interesting tricks. Well, I should say activities. It's very digital literacy. Make a startup company. These kinds of things. You know, so there's lots of collaborative, interesting. I had a look at her slides, and I know she addresses these issues. So she's probably much better than I am. And I should say that if you go to, you can read a lot about Shelly, what I've put up there. I'll put the link in the text chat here. Shares everything. The website is shellyterrell.Shelly.
And shellyterrell.com. And then for Mission Possible.
Oh, okay.
So, MP.
Operator for the Electronic Village Online. She modeled in a wonderful way how to really run an online session, and she had everything she set up was oriented now. So Shelly, on that note, let me hand over to you. I should say also, if anybody else here wants to introduce themselves.
That's about 3 months. When I began, then my publisher, sorry, by Elizabeth, so she might not know this, and I mentioned this actually a lot in all my presentations when I was talking about me, and I hope I get this correct, but where you told me, Elizabeth, that you're a scientist, you're but I do think that there's and this is not just to change the language, although I think that is very important. So with this book, what I really want to do is help teachers in the process. For quite a long time, it started with a book I wrote, I guess, 5 years ago, which is, or more, which is the 30 Goals Challenge. And with that, to give them little goals or missions or challenges, and then to have them complete those, and then a little bit more to see, what we could do at a wider scale, how let's act, and let's do this, and let's make learning fun and entertaining, and juggle, and and not necessarily juggle, but I think we hear so many times how we have to make it entertaining, but learning is a journey. I always like to think of it all the time, who's my little mini me. And when we think about our students these days, Savannah is already FaceTiming. She FaceTimes with her, who's just 28 days younger than her. My sister's first baby. It's funny, the generation gap, too, because for us, things like this are things we try, and they're fun for us. I know because for them it'll be because it's a little tiny screen, it's a little screen. Footprint, what it means to that you need to know roles you automatically are going to be expected to play. And so that's what our mission. It's them, not only them accomplishing a mission, not only them making a meaningful difference in their community and in their learning, and the learning of which ones would you go, because you all definitely have done a lot of these things, which I think is fantastic as being a connected. But every time you can clock your students are already doing, and if we don't understand what they're doing, then how can we lead them? I met another teacher, but before that, there are differences now, even with our routines and the way we learn and communicate. So the more that we know, even if it's just stories, then that's great. Help our students through love. So even things that we think that we know, change constantly. I learned that with my learners. In fact, I have to go teach later on today, but my learners, they love how all of this evolves, and it's important, more important that we know. It's important that we're aware of this, and other learners are aware as well, because they get to decide. You know, this shows as well. Elizabeth, you might like that because you work with sciences, but science is part of that game. Your learners could all go play a game right now, and so all of that's covered in the book. YouTuber, and I'll talk to the students. I make them do that all the time. They annotate, you know, so many readings because it's so important these days. And you do that with a mobile device. You can take a picture, you can highlight it. Even here, we can use text to go ahead and write a note about it. You know, we could write something like, oh, annotation, she said that it means to mark up, so that's what it means, and then I could write that. They need toilet paper, they need, you know, books in the library, just basic supplies, and now they're able to put a crowdfund campaign, and the book talks about that. It talks about how students can be part of, you know, making that and raising funds and getting supplies for their school. Fake news, and we hear about that all the time, how there are responsibilities and ethics involved in being journalists, because now anyone can be a journalist, anyone can post pictures on social networks and use a hashtag, and all of these disasters, and people are the main journalists for that. They're the main reporters. So these are just all roles that we play. At any time, they answer anyone digital missions. The book calls them EdTech missions, but they're digital learning missions. They're missions that do involve some form of technology, whether it's the thinking of technology. So some of them complete these missions any way you want, with any kind of materials you have. Even if you don't have technology, we have made it, and that was one of the reasons why I wrote maybe half the book, because my publisher, Mark Barnes, was really great in push issue, but he said, you know, we need to make this very practical, because some teachers are not going to be allowed to use social media in their school. So when we wrote, he said, okay, you have to solve this problem where some can't. So we made a paper social network as well. So there's over 24 or just several missions for you. And they do work with all kinds of learners. There's 10 missions in this book, and students can